In case you missed it, here's Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.
You know, with everything going on in the world right now, I don't think we needed this one.
No, rock just split in Japan. It's more like a boulder. It's called the Killing Stone. It's 6 feet tall, 26 feet around. And according to legend, there is a demon trapped inside, but it split in half earlier this month. So I guess the demon has been released.
So supposedly this demon was trapped inside of it 900 years ago. Legend has it an evil nine-tailed fox took the form of a beautiful woman in the 12th century, tried to overthrow the emperor. But a warrior killed her, and then her spirit got imprisoned in that rock.
And people are worried now that her spirit is free. She's going to wreak havoc on everyone. But there is also a chance it's good news, because there's actually another version of the legend that says freeing her spirit would be a great thing and would help to heal the world.
Well, we could certainly use that right now.
Yeah, fingers crossed it's the good version. Local officials started seeing cracks in the boulder a few years ago. They think rainwater slowly dripped in, froze, then expanded, and then eventually it broke it in two. And so they could put the two halves together. Others think they should just leave it as is. That second option might be the better one, though, because apparently if you touch the rock, it will kill you.
That is another legend, all connected around this wild rock known as the Demon Rock.
Good news is good news.
I have good news on good news on good news.
Good news, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to some good news.
That's what I got for y'all today.
Okay, so what's the good news?
And the good news is...
Let's hear it.
The good news is brought to you by Almar Home Improvements, 519-351-5666.
This woman is who I aspire to be when I am her age. Her name is Lily. She's a spirited grandmother of 5, great-grandmother of 4, and she just turned 102. And how did she celebrate? Well, the same way she's been living most of her life, by downing shots of tequila.
Wow.
She lives over in England, and she credits her spunk and long life to the Mexican liquor, but also Domino's pizza, sausage rolls, and cream cakes. Her advice? Live one day at a time, because tomorrow is never promised.
Well, that is fantastic advice at any time, right? I love that.
I would salute her with some tequila if I had some.
Well, and here's another grandma story. Every grandma in the world would love to get this greeting. Someone filmed their 2-year-old daughter in her car seat getting very excited when she sees grandma at the train station. I love how they just like, she has to point out to her mom, that's grandma. It's right there. I see her. That's the grandma. Here she comes. She knows she's going to get all the attention, right? Mm-hmm. Here comes grandma to give me all of her attention.
Probably gifts, getting spoiled,
maybe
all that good
candy.
stuff.
All right, well, let's go out with that laughter one more time. Well, if you ever get the feeling that you're being watched or at least listened to, little wonder, computer experts are warning that you're probably right, only it's not someone watching you, it's something. The University of Maryland and Penn State, the computer scientists say billions of digital services are scanning and sensing your movements every day.
And some of them are sitting right in front of you. These two experts say the technological revolution has come with a high price to our privacy. Smart devices can be handy, like those smart security cameras, but they're recording your activities all day long, and so is your Alexa and your Google smart speaker. You might actually be surprised, too, to learn that some of these smart TVs are doing the same thing. So are those smart light bulbs. They actually monitor your sleep and your heart rate. Smart vacuum cleaners, they map out the interior of your home. And you need to really be double checking, because a lot of these devices, you have checked off something saying, yeah, you can use my data, send it back off.
And not only that, you need to make sure that your Wi-Fi has a very strong password, because some of these devices can be hacked. We've seen that before with baby monitors, where people and creeps have hacked those and they're talking to their toddlers in the night.
So what can you do? Well, they say when you're looking to buy a smart device, find out what data is collected and what the manufacturer's data management policies are, according to an independent source.
You might have to do a bit more work. It's not as easy as just clicking off agree and moving forward.
This is one of the reasons why I don't have a Google Home or like an Amazon Alexa. I know people are like, well, how do you listen to like music? Well, I have a Bluetooth speaker. That's enough for me. I don't want to run the risk of having something listening to me. Also, my TV isn't smart. It's a flat screen, but the thing's like over 10 years old now.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. The TV's probably smarter than I am. Every once in a while, though, the home device does... I didn't understand that question. I yelled one day, no one was talking to you. And it actually talked back to me. It was like, well, that's not very nice. And I went and unplugged it. I'm like, how do you like this? Now you got no power. How's it feel now? But yeah, we live in a different world these days. Somebody's always listening.
My phone's always listening. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, because if we were to talk about blue dress right now, blue dress. Cheryl wants a blue dress.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Got to get some ads for blue dresses now. We've got a very useful life hack for you.
So remember maybe when you were growing up in your house, they had those little spring door stops so that the door wouldn't smuck into the wall and like leave a hole in the drywall.
Still have a few of those around the house. The dog, when she was a puppy, would always play with them.
Yes, exactly. Well, some woman has gone viral on social media because she has found another use for them. She says what you can do is use it to keep the door open. So if the door kind of always drifts shut, you can kind of like smush it underneath, kind of tuck the spring under the bottom of the door to keep the door open.
Yeah, just the actual top part of it. If you just bend that down a little bit, and if you're able to maneuver that under the door, apparently it keeps the door open.
Now, the little springy door stop's not originally designed to do this, but it does work. So you might want to go give that a try. I wonder if it works. I feel like she shows it in a room with carpeting. Would it still work on one with hardwood or tile?
Or ceramic? Yeah, you'd have to try that out. But maybe instead of having to get a door stop, if that's been an issue, maybe you can just look behind the door. Use that little spring thing. Well, if you're a coffee fan, you're going to love this story.
A new study out of the American College of Cardiology has found drinking 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day can add years to your life.
Cheers! As I hold up my coffee cup. The study was pretty intensive as they tracked more than 400,000 people for about 10 years.
So what they found is that coffee actually lowers the risk of heart disease and dangerous heart rhythms. They say coffee is even safe for people with cardiovascular disease because it either had a positive or just a neutral effect. So even drinking more than 3 to 6 cups a day isn't that bad. It just won't provide any additional benefit.
Researchers also pointed out that coffee beans have over 100 nutritious plant chemicals in them. Yes, so delicious.
Yeah, they say it can help with inflammation and stress, improve your insulin sensitivity and metabolism. Now, keep in mind, this is regular coffee, not, the mocha frappuccino, whipped cream,
the kind of stuff you get at the
syrups.
specialty shops.
Yeah, the ones that are loaded up with all the sugar and stuff. That's a different story.
Yeah, basically black coffee, maybe some cream and sugar in there, that kind of thing. So there you go. Drink up. Have another cup of coffee. Don't feel guilty. Who do you think is the richest female country artist by net worth? So in honor of Women's History Month in the U.S., they put together this list of the 10 richest female country artists by net worth. We're asking you to text us. Who do you think is number one? 519-351-6300. A few people have gotten it so far. Text us your guess. We'll get to that in a moment. We'll start at number 10.
Number 10 was Miranda Lambert. Her net worth is $60 million. She's, of course, one of the best singer-songwriters right now. And she's got so many awards. Plus, she also has an alcohol brand and now a restaurant musical venue down on that main drag in Nashville.
And at number 9, Loretta Lynn, $65 million. Showbiz icon, of course, who's done everything from being a coal miner's daughter to, Van Leer Rose album with Jack White and so much more, too.
And at number 8, Sheryl Crow. I mean, this is a bit of a stretch. I'm not sure because a lot of her early success was not in the world of country music. But we've talked about this before. I don't think maybe on the air. She's one of those artists, though, where if she put out any stuff of her stuff now that she did like in the 90s, it would be considered country.
It would probably cross over. In at number 7, the lady we just heard from, Faith Hill, $80 million. She sold over $40 million in records and released 2 fragrances. And, of course, her acting career just in 1883 with Tim McGraw.
And, if you put her net worth with her husband's.
Well, even more.
Yeah. And our list of the 10 richest female country artists by net worth. And at number 6 is Reba. A couple of people had guessed Reba, but she's in at number 6, worth $95 million. I mean, she's had a lot of number 1 albums, 16 of them to be exact, in several businesses, plus her own sitcom. But some of the artists ahead of her have a lot of other
business
side hustles and businesses going as well.
Including at number 5, Trisha Yearwood at 100 million. So, of course, when she's not performing, winning awards, she's hosting cooking shows, writing books, going on tour. By the way, that's her net worth. If you combine it with Garth, it'd be around $400 million.
And at number 4, Carrie Underwood. I mean, she's really created an empire. She's now a best-selling author. She's got the Vegas residency going on. She's touring all the time, but then she's also got this like Fit 52 app.
Oh, right, that fitness
and
brand.
a clothing and an athletic workout clothing line that's carried down in the U.S. at Dick's Sporting Goods.
We're talking about the 10 richest female country artists by net worth. Who do you think is at number 1? Text us 519-351-6300 with your guess.
We just got 4 more. I'll say this, they're all correct.
Okay, so in at number 2 on the list.
It's a tie.
It's a tie. All right, so in at number 2, both at 400 million is
Taylor Swift and Shania Twain. Of course, Taylor, she's huge, massive, pretty much everything she does. She has kind of crossed over into the pop world now, not so much country, but
that's where she got her start. Her
that
roots
is
are
where
in
she
country
got
music.
And when it comes to Shania Twain, I mean, she's got real estate all over the world, Vegas regular.
Sold millions of albums worldwide.
She's one of those artists that is just big everywhere in the world. Like some of these other artists, like, you know, they're not huge, but she had so many crossover hits that you could go down to like Africa or like Europe and people knew who Shania was.
Oh, I remember a friend of mine when Shania was big. He used to travel for business and he was in South Africa and he said, I'm in the airport. He said, I turned around the corner and this is when I lived in Timmins, where she's from. And he said, there's a giant poster of Shania Twain on the wall at this airport, Johannesburg in South Africa.
So that brings us to the number 1 spot.
And number 1 is?
The richest female country artist by net worth is Dolly Parton.
Congrats to everyone that guessed Dolly, and there was a number of guesses.
I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because when you think about Dollywood, right? So that her entire theme park, and then all the different, like she's got different Dollywood type venues kind of around the country in the U.S.
The movies that she's been in.
Singer, songwriter, actress, author.
How much money she's made off of Whitney Houston doing I Will Always Love You for The Bodyguard, right? Just as a songwriter, the royalty she earned from that.
But she literally owns her own theme park.
And now a book as well with an accompanying album with that. And they're talking about turning that into a movie or a miniseries or something. $650 million. Dolly Parton in at number 1. So thanks to everyone that did text us this morning. If you guessed Dolly, you guessed right. 57% of people say they've eaten a vegetable that actually they found tasted better than they expected.
Better than expected.
Well, I think because when we're kids, sometimes we just go no without even trying it. And then you become an adult and it just sticks. But we're asking today, what's a vegetable that you hate?
You can either go to our Facebook page and comment, or you can send us a text at 519-351-6300. Thanks to those who have texted so far. We've actually had 2 votes for peas out of a can. Have to agree with that. Pretty much any vegetable out of a can is terrible. We got one for lima beans. Kelly voted for turnips. We did get a lot of votes for turnips.
I turn up my nose at turnips.
Melody said turnips, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts. And Luann said celery.
Now, on our Facebook page, Tom says no-name brand. So anything no-name brand, he's not a fan of.
I always go for the no-name brand.
Frozen vegetables are pretty good.
Yeah.
Donna's saying broccoli. Patricia's saying eggplant. She says it's tasteless mush.
We actually had 4 different people say eggplant. I added that up. Turnips also got a number of votes, too.
Also another vote, Lynn saying green and yellow beans. She's never been a fan of.
I love green and yellow beans. Not out of a can. I'm talking like fresh green beans, fresh yellow beans.
Paula's saying squash. Not a fan of that.
What? I love squash.
Actually, my sister commented on our Facebook page and said beets. And I predicted she'd say that, and then you mentioned it. Yeah, your sister said beets. She never liked, I think, the taste or the fact that they would stain other things on your plate, like potatoes. I think that was an issue.
I'm not a beet fan either. And it's funny because, like, my mom knows it. So, like, if they make beets, she also makes, like, another vegetable if I'm over for dinner.
So what's a vegetable that you just hate? You can give us a call or a text message. Hi, CFCO. Is there a veggie that you just can't stand?
Yeah, broccoli.
So what is it about broccoli, Ace, for you?
Well, I don't know. I just don't like the taste and don't like the looks of it.
That's how I feel about tomatoes. Although I eat ketchup.
You don't like tomatoes, but you like ketchup.
No, I don't like the look of them. They look like they're not done. You cut it and it's like jellyish in the middle. And
I
seeds
love
and
tomatoes. I'll take your tomatoes then.
You can have them. A couple of years ago, we had so many tomatoes in the garden, we could not get rid of them. It was insane how many tomatoes we
Your wife
had.
was just making pasta sauce left, right, and
She
center.
made all sorts of things. Thanks for your call, Ace. You can give us a call or send us a text. Is there a vegetable that you just don't like and why? I don't like Brussels sprouts. Not a big fan of that. And also, what's the one I call the devil sticks?
Oh, asparagus.
Yes.
The devil weed, you call it.
Don't like it. It looks like a weed to me.
I love asparagus.
Well, then you get people like, oh, you wrap it in bacon and cover it in cheese. I'll just eat the bacon and cheese.
That's how I feel about Brussels sprouts. I'm not a fan of Brussels sprouts. I can eat a couple, but if I eat too many, I'm kind of like, meh. And they're always like, oh, well, you have to roast them with like bacon and bacon fat. Well, then it just tastes like bacon-flavored Brussels sprouts.
A lot of people saying Brussels sprouts on our Facebook page. Heidi's saying not a fan of radishes. Yeah, same. Shelley's saying parsnips.
We had a lot of votes for parsnips. I don't even really know what a parsnip is. They're like a white carrot, aren't they? That's
I
what
think
feel
so.
like.
I don't know that I've actually ever tried it. Matt's saying cooked carrots. Maybe it's because sometimes when people cook things like carrots, they boil them until they become the consistency of oatmeal.
Mush.
Right?
I prefer roasted carrots. I chop them up and roast them because then you put a little pepper on there, some olive oil. Oh, delicious.
James saying
Roast them.
zucchini. Now, I've tried fried zucchini, and it's okay.
Morgan just texted us and said, mushrooms. We're with you there, Morgan. She says it's a texture thing, and that is totally how I feel about mushrooms as well, Morgan. Dave and I are both with you. If you want to text us what vegetable you hate the most, you can do that right now. 519-351-6300.
Now, it's interesting in the story that we came across about a poll on veggies. They said that broccoli is the veggie that most are willing to eat, followed by carrots, spinach, sweet potatoes, and asparagus. And as we said, 57% actually did try a new veggie that tasted better than they expected. Well, I remember getting a spaghetti squash at a store, and there was a young person at the cash, and she actually said, I want to ask you something. What is this exactly, and how do you cook it? So I was explaining to her how to cook it. She said, okay, well, maybe I'll give that a try. I don't mind it. Spaghetti squash. Again, that's something we never ate as a kid. We ate, a meat, a potato, and either carrots, peas and carrots, or beans. That was the variety of veggies.
Peas or carrots, peas and carrots. My sister texted and said okra.
I don't know that I've ever 100% tried okra
I've
either.
only ever had fried okra, which is delicious when it's fried, deep battered and fried and dipped in ranch.
Well, isn't everything, right? You go to fairs in the U.S. and they'll deep fry butter on a stick.
Yeah.
So
someone just texted us to say tomato is a fruit, Dave. So technically, that's not a
perfect.
vegetable.
Then I'm off the hook when it comes to tomatoes. One of the reasons people love Twitter, I think, is the anonymity of it, right? You can have no profile picture. You can make your name something very generic. And you can basically then send out a tweet just about whatever you'd like.
Yeah, with no repercussions. Don't have to be held accountable for it. Except over in the UK, they actually have a law on the books that prohibits people from spreading content that is deemed, quote, grossly offensive or of an indecent, obscene, or menacing character. This is all through a public electronic communication network. Now, it's kind of controversial, though, because, as I read it, it's written so broadly that it's not, normally enforced. But one guy learned the hard way that they can and will still enforce it.
Yeah, so back in February, an elderly British Army officer died, and a 36-year-old man by the name of Joseph tweeted out, "The only good Brit soldier is a dead one. Burn, old fella, burn." Obviously, that's nasty and in poor taste, but also not only that, it's also illegal according to British courts.
So they sentenced him to 150 hours of community service and 18 hours of counseling. Now, his attorney tried to use the defense that, well, Joseph was drunk. Yeah, you're still responsible for your actions when you're drunk, though, buddy.
Yeah, and only had a handful of followers, so really he felt like not a lot of people saw it, but apparently the courts wanted to make an example of him. Could you imagine if this type of thing was employed elsewhere? Now, I know we do have laws in Canada with regards to hate speech, but south of us, it's kind of like wide open, right?
Well, it's the same kind of thing here, right? How widely enforced is it? I have seen some very questionable tweets in the last couple of months.
It would be interesting because people would obviously start screaming about, their rights of free speech. But at some point, are we not then held accountable for the things we say or do? Right? Should it just be allowed that you can say something so nasty and so disgusting to someone and not be held accountable for it? It's an interesting concept. And I mean, it's not like he's going to jail.
No, but
he didn't get hit with a huge fine necessarily.
No, community service and counseling. So to understand why what you said was offensive.
You've been listening to Dave and Cheryl's Favorite Moments of the Week.